हरि ओम। ओ ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गायै नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम श्री रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं भवानी शंकरौ वन्दे श्रद्धा विश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरं वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम नमः शिवाय 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 ओम नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। So Bhagwan is revealing his main vibhutis to Arjuna. So पवतामस्मि रामशस्त्रभृतामहं जषाणां मकरश्चास्मि श्रोतसामस्मि जाह्नवी सर्गाणाम आदिरन्तश्च मध्यं चैवाहमर्जुन अध्यात्म विद्या विद्यानां वाद प्रवदतामहम. Bhagavan says, among all creations, I am the beginning, the middle, and the end. Among all knowledge, I am Adhyatma Vidya, the knowledge of one's own self. And Vada Pravadatam Aham, and among all various types of discussions and arguments and debates, Bhagavan says, I am Vada, a very friendly, proper discussion based on proper praman and logic to arrive at the truth, to understand the truth, is what is called Vada. Lot of things we can understand in this world through proper thinking and proper discussion. See, one person alone, when he thinks, he has got his own limitation of his own mind, intellect, memories, experiences. But when two or more people discuss together, they can share their memories, they can share their experiences, they can share their wisdom, and together they can arrive at the truth. So it is very beneficial. So even the spiritual wisdom we can gain through proper discussion. In the beginning, we listen to the teacher and discuss with the teacher, and then we can discuss among all the students also to understand the truth. The scriptures, they are the praman, the shastras, the Upanishads are the praman, the means and authority to recognize myself. But the Shastras can be understood rationally, logically, and can be connected and understood with the help of our experiences also. So all this we can utilize in proper discussion. So Bhagavan says, I am that Vada. And as I said, it is not only useful for the study of the Shastra, but even to maintain proper balance and harmony in society, we need proper discussion, proper dialogue. There are various factors, various different different types of people and their different religions and culture and all are there. But when we discuss together properly, we can arrive at a harmonious understanding of the whole thing. It's very important. There is no harm in having different views. But different views need not create differences in our heart. It need not create enmity. So Vada Pravadatam Aham. Bhagavan says, I am Vada. Now further, in the next shloka, Bhagavan reveals some more of his vibhutis. Shloka number 33. Aksharanamakarosmi dvandvasamasikasya cha ahamevakshayak kalah dhataham vishvato mukha. Among all alphabets, the Sanskrit alphabets, 50 of them, 16 vowels, 34 consonants, all these aksharas which are there, among them Bhagavan says, I am the letter because that letter pervades all the other letters, and that letter pervades all the words and sentences and mantras and everything. Therefore, even while discussing Om, the letter represents Vaishvanara, and Vaishvanara pervades the entire creation. Everything is expression of Vaishvanara. The letter U represents Hiranyagarbha, the letter Ma represents Ishvara, and the whole Onkar represents that Brahma. So here Bhagavan is talking about the Akshara A. So Aksharanam Akarosmi. Then Bhagavan now tells about the samas. He says Dvandva Samasikasya cha. See, in Sanskrit language there is something called samas, which is there in other languages also, like Hindi and all. So we have what we call samas. Samas is joining two words, two or more words together to form another word. Therefore, in Sanskrit, when you read some mantras and all, you find a word so long, like, so person wonders, ki, what is it? So there are not only sandhis which join the words through proper sandhi rules, but there are ways of joining two words. So these are called samas. So samas is different from sandhi. Samas. And in Sanskrit there are four main types of samas. They are called avyayi bhava, tatpurush, bahuvrihi and dvandva samas. When two and more words are joined together, they form this samas. When the two words, in the two words, when the first word is important, then it is called avyayi bhava samas. When in these two words joined together, when the second word is important, then it is called tatpurush samas. And when both the words are important, then that is called dvandva samas. That's what Bhagavan is talking about here. And when both the words are indicating some other word, some other thing which is not in those words, that is the bahuvrihi samas. For example, in avyayi bhava samas, one can understand the word pratidinam. So prati, every day. Dinam prati. That is avyayi bhava, where the prati, the first word, is important. Then there is tatpurush samas like Ishvara bhakti, Ishvara bhaktaha. Bhaktaha, who's bhakta? Ishvara's bhakta. So the second word determines the meaning of that word. That is called the tatpurush samas. Then there is bahuvrihi samas, where, like for example, Lambodara, that is Bhagwan Ganesha's name. So there are two words, Lamba and Udara. They are joined together to become Lambodara. But here neither Lamba nor Udara is important. Both of them are indicating Ganesh Bhagwan. So they are called Bahuvrihi Samas. And when both the words are important, like Ram Lakshmano, then that is called Dvandva Samaj. Like in the shloka in Ram Raksha Stotram also, there it talks about both Ram and Lakshmana together. Taruna Rupa Sampanno Sukumaro Mahabalo Pundarika Vishalaksho Chira Krishna Jinambaro Falamula Sano Danto Tapaso Brahmacharino Putro Dasharatha Sheto Bhrataro Rama Lakshmano. Rama Lakshmana, they are described in these shlokas. So when both the words are given equal weightage, like Harihara, equal weightage, then that is called Dvandva Samas, and that is Bhagwan's Vibhuti. And through this Vibhuti, Bhagwan conveys that equality also, that I am present equally everywhere. Hari Vyapak Sarvatra Samana. Bhagwan is present everywhere equally. So Dvandvas Samasikasya cha. So the beauty of this, all these vibhutis, is Bhagwan is showing his vibhutis not only in nature, but he is showing his vibhutis among the devatas, among the rishis, among the rivers, among the mountains, among in the grammatical different features also, Bhagwan is showing his vibhutis. It is to show that Bhagwan is present everywhere. The entire world is pervaded by Bhagwan. We should develop that vision to see his present everywhere. Samas is to join words together to make another word. That is a special feature of Sanskrit language. So Rama Lakshmana is one word, which means Ram and Lakshmana. So there the and all is not used, but together the word Ram Lakshmana. You can learn from some Sanskrit books and all about these various things about Sanskrit grammar. Okay? Even in Bhagavad Gita, various places Bhagwan is using these different types of samas. Okay? Then, Aham eva akshayak kalaha. Bhagwan says, I am akshayak kalaha. See, in the beginning, Bhagwan had said about himself as kalak kalayatam aham. That among those who count, I am kala. And here Bhagwan is saying that I am that akshaya kala, imperishable time. So again, we can do a little bit thinking on this time. See, space and time, though they are part of this world, they are not seen through our senses. The direction and all, desha and kala. They are not seen with our senses, but we infer with our mind. So when I see something in front of me, an object, and I see another object at another distance, then I can infer that there is a lot of distance between those objects. So seeing objects, we can infer distance, we can infer space. And that also we have our own limitation. When we see far away objects, we don't know how far they are. We can see the stars, but we don't know how far they are. Even the moon which we see, we cannot imagine how far it is. But we know that it is quite far. So what is there between me and the moon? Space is there. So that space is inferred by looking at that object, looking at some object. the objects which we see in this world are also constantly changing. Nothing is stationary. Everything changes. So when we see the change, we can infer time. Let us say a person is walking. So he is at one place and he keeps walking and reaches another place. So we have the memory that he was here and now he is here. So it has taken some time. So we infer that time in our own mind. Not only human beings, but even animals, they infer time. I had mentioned this before also. Let us say a dog wants to cross the road. Even a dog, he sees on the left and right for vehicles. And when he sees a vehicle is coming on the road, but it is quite far away, the dog calculates in his own mind that, okay, I can just run and cross this road without getting harmed. Even we do such calculation, complex calculation we do in our head, even without knowing mathematics. When the car is coming, I calculate in my own mind how far it is, what is its speed, and what is the width of this road, how much time I will take if I walk to cross this road. Will I be able to cross this road before the car comes here, reaches here? All this calculation I do. And when I am satisfied, I cross. Sometimes my calculation goes wrong, but this time is inferred. Again, I had said that day that time is experienced objectively. We experience the time differently, and subjectively we experience the time differently. When we are very sad and miserable, the time seems to go very slowly. But when we are happy, the time seems to go very fast. But in the world outside, we see the time moving in the same speed. But again, there are certain anomalies in the time which is experienced in the world outside also, which the science has discovered. Suppose there are these twins. Two brothers are there, twins. One brother stays on earth and another brother, he sits in a rocket. And just imagine, this is a mental experiment, mind experiment. So that other brother sits in a rocket and flies, goes far away at very high speed, at a very, very high speed, almost nearing the speed of light, not at the speed of light, but quite high speed. He goes far away. Both of them are having watches, matching watches. So the brother who goes far away, he goes to the other some planet very far, and again he comes back. So this brother who is there on earth, he notes the time. So after, let us say after 10 years, his brother comes back. So the brother who was there on earth, he has aged 10 years. But a very strange thing is experience, that the brother who had gone on the trip and he comes back, he has aged only 5 years. Even his watch shows that he has aged only 5 years. Just an experiment. But this is true, this is scientifically observed. This is a strange thing about time. That time not only depends on the phenomena which we experience outside, but also depends on the speed of the observer. So many strange things are experienced about this time. And this thing is mentioned in our Puranas also. This mystery about time. There is a story of a king in the Puranas. He wanted to get his daughter married. So he doesn't find any suitable person on earth with whom he can get his daughter married. So what he does, he takes a rocket and goes to another lokas. He goes to other lokas to find a suitable husband for this daughter. So in his travel, he even reaches Brahmalok. But then Brahmaji tells him that you go back. So he again comes back on earth. So he, according to his own timing, he must have traveled only for a few days or few months. But when he comes back, he finds that lots of years have elapsed. The entire yuga has elapsed. And he reaches earth at a time when Krishna avatar has taken place. And Krishna's brother Balaram is there. So he gets his daughter married to Balaram, Bhagwan Krishna's brother. So lot of time has elapsed on earth, but according to the his watch and his body clock, less time is elapsed. So time is experienced in a strange way. It depends on space, it depends on what you call our speed. The time experience in the world is different. But there is something called imperishable time. Time which is not divided as minutes, seconds, hours, days, months. The time which is not divided, the time which is not specific. The general time which is imperishable time, and that imperishable time is Bhagwan's vibhuti only, Bhagwan's Swarupa. So that is what Bhagwan is conveying here, ki aham eva akshayak kalaha. I am that kala which is akshaya. Shankaracharya ji writes, athava parameshwara kalasya api kalaha. Ishvara is the kala of kala also, is the time of time also. See, just as the knowledge, when we know something, then our knowledge is conditioned by the object which we know. So we know the book, we know the watch, we know the tree, we know the mountain. So our knowledge is conditioned by the objects. So this type of knowledge is called Vishesha Jnana. But when there is knowledge unconditioned, not conditioned by any objects, that is Nirvishesha Jnana, unconditional knowledge. That unconditional knowledge is the very Swarup of that Paramatma. Similarly, what we experience about time is conditional time. Time as minutes, seconds, days, hours, yuga. But there is what is called unconditional time. Nirvishesha Kala. That is the very Swarupa of Bhagwan. That is Bhagwan's Vibhuti. So here Bhagwan is talking about that Kala. He says, Aham evakshayak kalaha. I am that Akshaya Kala, imperishable time. Then Dhataham, Vishvato Mukaha. Bhagavan says, I am Dhata. Dhata means what? Karma Phalasya Vidhata. Sarva Jagataha. Bhagavan says, I am the giver of the results of karma. Bhagavan is the Dhata, the giver of results of all karma. See, there are these infinite beings are there, and all of us are performing complicated actions, individually also and in a group, affecting every other being. So many different types of actions are happening in the vast cosmos. And when we perform action, we get the result accordingly. As the action is performed, so the result comes. So action is performed in one time and result comes in future. So for the result to come also, someone should be there for the result to be given to us. See, sometimes we get the result immediately, but at times we perform action, we get the result after so many years. And some of our actions may give result in future janmas also. So who remembers, who notes down what actions we have performed and what results we should be given? There must be someone who has knowledge about everything and everyone to give appropriate result. And that is Ishvara, who is Sarvajna, Sarva Shaktiman. He gives us appropriate results through the Devatas and through various ways. Bhagavan alone is the ultimate giver of results. Our karmas are never destroyed. Even with pralaya, karmas are not destroyed, we get the results. So Ishvara is the great Dhata. See, when we go to a shop, we want to buy something, we give the money and the shopkeeper gives us that product. So from our side we perform the action of giving the money, but there should be someone performing action to give the result. Similarly, we perform actions and Bhagavan gives the result. So aham eva akshayak kalaha dhataham. But how Bhagavan knows who has done what? Bhagavan is Sarva Vishvato Mukha. Bhagavan has got his mukha, his face, everywhere. He is Sarvato Mukha. He has got his face everywhere. He faces everything and everyone. Means Bhagavan is Sarvajna, Sarvadrashta, Sarvasakshi, witness of everyone and everything. So Sarvato Mukha, he knows all that is being done by every being. In the 4th chapter also Bhagavan has said to Arjuna that I have taken many births and you have also taken many births. But you are limited. You don't have the entire knowledge because you have that ignorance. So you don't remember your past lives and you don't know everything. But I know everything. I am Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupaha. So Bhagavan is Vishvato Mukha. He has got his mukha facing everywhere. So we can look in whichever direction and pray to Bhagavan. Doesn't have to only look in the direction of east or west or north or south, because wherever we see, wherever we look, Bhagwan is looking at us. So he is Vishvato Mukhaha. Then further, some more vibhutis. Mrityus sarvaharashchaham udbhavascha bhavishyatam kirtishriirvakchanarinam smritirmedha dhritikshama. Bhagwan says that I am Mrityuhu. Mrityuhu sarvaharascha aham. I am death. What type of Mrityu? Sarvaharaha. The death which takes away everything. Shankaracharya ji in his commentary writes कि द्विविधो धनादिहरः प्राणहरः. That there are these two types of mrityu. One is even when we are alive, when things are taken away from us, our wealth, our position, our name, our fame, our prosperity, then that is also called mrityu only. That is one type of mrityu. While living, a person is like dead only. Or pranaharaha, when we die, when we leave this body, when our pranas leave this body, that is also death. And it is sarvaharaha. It takes away everything. So it's very, very interesting also that way when we are awake, when we are alive, we can experience this world, we experience ourself, and we experience others around us, our family, our friends, our relatives, our masters, the different beings in this world. All this we experience, and we get involved with the world politics also. What is happening where? What election is happening in USA and where? And what is happening in other places? What is happening in India? What is happening in all different places? All the time we are involved with the world around us. We think ourselves to be a very important person, important factor in this world. But when the death will happen, we don't know. And the very moment death takes place, everything is wiped out from my life. Means I just exit from this world instantaneously and completely. Completely means there is no connection thereafter with this world. No connection with my family, friends, relatives, other people. Everything is gone instantaneously. According to my karma, according to my samskar, then I get another birth, or I may go to another loka. Or I may remain in between waiting for another birth. So various things happen, but instantaneously everything is as though taken away from us. See, this we can experience every day when we go to sleep. Forget about even deep sleep. Even when you sleep and you dream, you experience a different world. Suppose I just go to sleep in Delhi. I dream that I am in some other place. I am in Chennai. I am experiencing daytime. I am sleeping here at night, but there I experience day. And I experience different set of people around. Many times this dream has got no direct relationship with our day-to-day waking world also. Some samskar from our past comes and we see that dream. And when I am dreaming, at that time, I don't remember anything of my waking. There is no connection with the waking. You might be doing some work and fall asleep. You might be involved with some very important project and fall asleep. But when you are dreaming, you will not even dream of that project or not even dream of anything of this waking, immediate your surrounding. So, while dreaming, when we get disconnected from our physical body, we lose all memory and connection with our physical world instantaneously. No doubt, when we remain there for some time and when we wake up, then again we get connected to this world. But instantaneously we become disconnected with the world, with our own body, with our own relatives, friends, with our own ambitions, with our own prides, with everything. So even a dream can disconnect me instantly from this world. Same thing happens with death. Instantly I get disconnected. No connection. So it is sarvaharaha. The only thing I am connected to is my own self. The self remains. I am connected to Ishvara. And I carry the same mind, intellect, my own samskars are carried everywhere. So Bhagavan says, I am there with you. I am that Mrityu. I am always there with you. See, just like little children, they go to school and they meet other children, they play with them. Primary school, they play with their friends, they have the games and all. But then the school time is over, they have to go home. So the mother comes there and tells the child, okay, we have to go now. The child says, no, I want to play, I want to continue playing with my friends and all, I don't want to go anywhere. The mother just picks up that child and carries the child home. Though the mother is all the time with the child, and if the child has got good rapport with the mother, the child will be happy traveling with the mother, going home. Similarly, when we are in this world, we play in this world. But when the time comes, Bhagavan says, okay, now you have to leave this world and we will go together to another world or to other body. So we just go with Bhagavan. So if we have proper rapport with Bhagavan, if we can recognize Bhagavan in all his facets, as life, as death, as everything, then we won't have any fear, we won't have any agitation. For us, then life and death is same, because we are all the time with Bhagavan. We are all the time connected with Bhagavan. And that is the thing. We have to meditate on all these vibhutis in such a way that we should be able to recognize the presence of Bhagwan in everything, in all situations, in all times, not only in life but also in death. Okay? So, Mrityu Sarvaharaschaham. Bhagwan says, I am Mrityu Sarvaharaha. Then, Udbhavascha Bhavishyatam. Bhagwan says that Udbhavah Utkarshah Abhyudayah Tat Prapti Hetuhu Cha Aham Kesham Bhavishyatam Bhavik Kalyananam Utkarsha Prapti Yogyanam. Bhagwan says that Udbhavah means Utkarsha means what you call prosperity or progress which a person capable of gaining in future. Let us say some person is there who is capable of gaining great prosperity and great success in future. Bhagwan says that his success and his prosperity is my own vibhuti. I am that. I am the very cause of their prosperity and their success. So even there are, see, according to our karma, we are also destined to gain success and gain great things in this world also. According to our karma of our past and according to the effort which we put forth now, we can achieve greatness in this world. So Bhagwan says that for that also I am the cause, I am the inspiration, I am that thing which gives them success in future. So those who will become great in future, those who will become prosperous and successful in future, I am that cause which will give them that success in future. So उद्भवश्च भविष्यताम, भविष्य में जिसका कल्याण होगा उसके कल्याण का हेतु मैं हूँ. By my blessings only he will gain greatness in future. So Bhagwan is there in everything and everyone, in every aspect of our life, in every aspect of this cosmos, in a very beautiful way, is present everywhere. Now, in the second half of this shloka, Bhagwan is talking about his vibhutis among women. He says, Kirti Shrir Vakcha Narinam Smritir Medha Dhriti Kshama. He says, among women, I am Kirti, Shri, Vak, Smriti, Medha, Dhriti, Kshama. These are actually beautiful qualities also, and they are considered as expression of feminine quality. See, there are certain qualities which are considered as masculine, and there are certain qualities which are considered as feminine. See, we have in our language, in Sanskrit and so many Indian language, we have gender for not only for human beings but for other even objects of this world and even qualities. So for example, the quality of Vivek, Vairagya, is considered as masculine. But the quality of Smriti, Medha, Dhruti, Kshama is considered as feminine. And these qualities are seen more in a female than in a male also. But sometimes these qualities are seen in both male as well as female. Again, these names actually belong to the daughters of Daksha. So Daksha Prajapati, he had many daughters, and among them were he had these daughters called named Kirti, Smriti, Medha, Dhruti, and Kshama. These are daughters of Daksha Prajapati. Then Bhrigu Rishi, he had a daughter named Shri. And Brahma, he has a daughter named Vak. So all these are names of Stri, who were the daughters of Daksha, Bhrigu, and Brahma. And these ladies are the what you call devatas, or the devatas of these qualities also. Of the qualities like Dhriti, Kshama. So Bhagavan says, I am this Nari Naam among all ladies. I am that Kirti, Shri, Vak, Smriti, Medha, Dhriti, Kshama. So what is Kirti? Kirti means fame. We have seen before also as Yasha. See, when we follow the path of Dharma, when we follow the path of goodness, when we follow the path of Lokahita, when we do something for the welfare of the world, then we gain Kirti in this world. It is not done for Kirti, but one gains Kirti in this world when one follows the path of Dharma and goodness. So that Kirti is a feminine quality, and Bhagavan says that is my Vibhuti only. I am that Kirti. I am the good fame in all the famous people of this world. I am Kirti. Then I am Shri. Shri means prosperity. So this quality is also connected to the ladies, to women. Shri, prosperity or wealth. Therefore, in our culture we have this, when a marriage takes place and when the newly wed bride comes home, she is welcomed as a Lakshmi only coming at home, as prosperity coming. And it is said in our Shastras that when we respect women, give them proper respect, love, reverence, kindness, then all these qualities will come in our life. But when they are disrespected, when we disrespect women, then all these things will go away from our life. No doubt about it. All things will go away. So Bhagavan says, Kirti, Shri Hi, that I am Shri among all ladies. I am that Shri, the one who is endowed with this quality of Shri, prosperity. Then Vak, ability to speak. ability to convey, that beautiful ability to express, that is also there, and it's indicated as a feminine quality, ability to express. See, even men and women, they have their own limitation in expressing certain things. For example, generally a man is one who finds it very difficult to express emotions. Express means put it in words, will not be able to tell what exactly is feeling. Also, certain things he is unable to express properly, but other things he might express properly. So, man and woman, they have their own way of expressing. So, Vak is a feminine quality which Bhagavan says is my Vibhuti. Even Vani is the Devata, Saraswati Devata. So Kirti Shri Vakcha Narinam, then Smriti Hi, memory, ability to remember everything in detail, all incidences, all things which happen. And this is also found that a woman can remember a lot of things in detail. And men generally, when they forget, they fall into trouble also because of that. Sometimes they forget birthdays of their wife or someone and are in trouble. So Smriti, memory, is also very important. And if one remembers things properly, the right things properly at the right time, we can gain great success in this world. So Smriti Hi. Then Medha. Medha means power to grasp, to understand. Medha Shakti. Power to understand. This is also a feminine quality, and it is found more in a woman. She has got the ability to understand also a different aspect of life. Certain subtle aspect, gross things are understood deeply by a woman. Therefore, in our life, we should have the input from all genders and all age groups and all. Then we can have a proper understanding of a particular situation also. A feminine outlook, a masculine outlook, a vision from the standpoint of a child, from an elderly person, then only we will be able to grasp things properly. Even in the society, if a government also wants to take some important decisions, the government should be able to see from the standpoint of all people who are affected by the decision. From the standpoint of a common man, from the standpoint of a farmer, from a standpoint of a business person, from a standpoint of a woman, from a standpoint of a householder, from a standpoint of a child, all properly when we see, we will be able to take a holistic decision. Otherwise, it becomes quite chaotic. So that medha, the power to grasp and understand, is also a feminine quality, and Bhagwan calls it Nari only. So Bhagwan says, I am that woman, medha is my vibhuti. Then dhriti, dhriti means dhairya, patience, perseverance and patience. That is also seen more in a woman. To persevere on a particular path, or to have tremendous patience, tremendous ability to forbear and sustain. This is also very important quality, because many things get destroyed when we are impatient, when we are intolerant, when we are restless, when we cannot bear little pinpricks of life, then we spoil everything. So when we have that proper dhairya, dhriti, we will be able to move to great distance and to great height. So very important quality, dhriti. And then kshama, forgiveness. Forgiveness we had seen before also, that forgiveness is also a very important quality, and it's also a feminine quality. In fact, lot of these beautiful qualities are indicated as feminine in our Shastra. Even the Shakti is feminine, Bhakti is feminine. Even the earth is named as Kshama, because she keeps forgiving. So, Kirti Shrir Vakcha Narinam Smritir Medha Dhritik Kshama. These are the beautiful women, and Bhagwan says, they are all my vibhutis. So, even in a man, if this quality is there, then it is a feminine quality, and Bhagwan himself is expressing within us through this. And both of them are important. Actually, here there is no gender bias or something. Both the genders are important. Everyone is important. Therefore, Lord Shiva presents himself in Ardhanarishwar Rupa. Half Nari and half Nara. That both are important, both are what you call half, both together forms that complete person. So man should have feminine qualities also, and women should also have and appreciate the masculine quality, and a beautiful combination of them. But more, man expresses more the masculine quality, and women expresses more the feminine quality. So more about this we will see in our class tomorrow. So till then, you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy. Do your work, do your sadhana, contemplate on this lecture, on this talk. Go back to other videos which you have missed, and contemplate on them, and we shall meet again tomorrow. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. बोलिए सियावर रामचंद्र भगवान की जय. ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरिः ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ओम.